Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name is Chris Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I'd greatly appreciate it. So, back to work policies. Apple, one of the biggest behemoths in this area, Tim Cook has recently come out and said, everybody's got to get back to work 3 days of the week. 3 days of the week, you got to be in the office. There's a huge amount of Apple employees around here. Huge. Now, if anything, these last 2 years have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that work can continue remotely. No one actually needs to be in an office to work, or at least the kind of work that they're doing. Any kind of work that has been going on just fine over the last couple of years. Most of these individuals can work from anywhere. They don't necessarily need to be in an office. Sure, there's always people who need to be in an office, whether you're working in a lab or whether you're an IT person, working on servers, routers, whatever. There's always going to be a requirement for people who need to be physically present. That's never going to change. That's never going to change. However, for a large proportion of individuals, especially around here, software engineers, product managers, people who don't necessarily need to be physically co-located in a building, even if it's a giant round Starship looking thing, even if it's the Starship, even if it's the multi-billion-dollar, I don't even know how much they paid for it. Maybe it wasn't $1 billion, but it was a lot. Even though they paid a lot of money for these things, we don't necessarily need to have employees in the office. Work from anywhere, if you ask me, is the future. And I think I said that in a previous show, is how many days should you spend in the office? 0. Unless you absolutely have to. We've proven that work can be done without people being physically co-located, because this is what people used to do. People used to drive an hour to the office because they couldn't live nearby, because it was too expensive, sit in their cubes, and it was so much noise in the open office space that they would have headphones on. They would do their work for 8 hours. Sometimes they'd spend time going for coffees. Sometimes they'd spend time going for lunch. Sometimes they'd be in meetings. But then they would be sitting at their desks most of the time with their headphones on, working. And then they would, at the end of the day, get up, get in their cars, drive another hour home, and then repeat the same thing day in, day out. Doing it 5 days a week, doing it 3 days a week, it doesn't matter. You still have a commute there, and you still have people physically sitting in an office, not even really collaborating. But this is the way of the world. I mean, why do you think Tim Cook came out and said, we need people to come back into the office? Do you think it was pressure from the investors who said, look, you just spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this office. You got to get people in it. It can't be empty all the time. I've looked at studies, and we've done studies that show that working from anywhere is more innovative, is more creative. It helps individuals to lead better lives. Wellness is high. Employee satisfaction is high, especially now that the kids have gone back to school. All of this stuff is high. It's better for employees to be able to be flexible and work from anywhere whenever they need to work from anywhere. It's a question of trust, right? You worry about these employees not doing the work. As long as they get the work done, does it really matter that they're in the office or not? When we did this study, we figured that the only thing that they would be missing by not being in the office is serendipitous encounters. Oh, I just happened to bump into so-and-so, and I bumped into so-and-so. And I told you, I mentioned in an earlier show that serendipity is very important for innovation. It's very important for creativity. It's very important when you're envisioning new products. It's very important when you're trying to manage a team to get them to execute those products. However, that's a small part of the whole experience. And if you ask me, if you're a startup founder out there and you want a good idea, come up with some way to re-enable the serendipity that we used to get when we were in the office. I mean, I'm sure that there's a way of technically re-enabling the same kind of serendipity we could get in the office. In fact, there's a service, I think it's called Meow, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes, which basically just connects you with 3 other random people whenever you want. In fact, you can do it at any point. You can schedule it, or you can just say, I want to connect with 3 other people right now. And you get connected with 3 other random individuals. Triggering serendipity. Triggering serendipity. Why can't we have a Meow for Apple? Why don't they have like a period of time where you say, hey, between 10 and 11, it's serendipity time. You got to get on, and the system will automatically, randomly connect you with some, I don't know what that hand movement is, randomly connect you with some other Apple employee so you can have a serendipitous conversation. Or your boss, or your boss's boss, or somebody else in some other part of the organization. Why can't we take the only thing that we're missing from remote work and come up with some way? We're all smart. We're all super intelligent human beings. Why can't we come up with a way to recreate the kind of serendipity that we get in the office while being out of the office? Because, like I said, if you stack up each and every reason why people are better off working remotely, everyone's better off working remotely. If you can. If you can't, I understand that. But if you do not require to be physically present anywhere, remote work is the best kind of work because it helps everybody everywhere across the board. It helps organizations, it helps humans, it helps employees, it helps everybody. Like I said, the only thing that's missing is the serendipitous encounters. If we could figure out how to bring those serendipitous encounters back in to wherever you happen to be, then not only would we be where we were before, we'd be better off because you have the added benefit of the wellness and the time not spent in a car polluting. So, if you're out there and you want to come up with a new idea, think about how you can re-engineer the serendipity back into the remote work experience for your organization. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.